everyone. I have here a nice cardboard slash leather box that I found at an antique store, and I really liked it, and I thought my sister would like it for her birthday, and I decided that I would try and do a little restoration work on it. You can see, and we'll start with the inside. Actually, I'll start on the outside. Front and back, I have a line of medical tape here, and this is actually from my second attempt at trying to restore it. I started with super glue, and I'll show you when I take this off in a moment, with sort of the damages underneath from how I got it and what I want to restore. But basically this hinge is just part of the leather fabric, and I wanted to improve it. So on the inside, you can see I started. Now the hinge on the inside was completely fine, but I figured if that's all that's holding it in place, you should have additional support. So I put in this strip of Gorilla Tape here for additional support, especially while I do work on this side. But I think I'll leave the Gorilla Tape in there for the final product. So yeah, this is the back side of the box without medical tape, and you can see, you might be able to see it used to be one sort of solid piece of leather from top to bottom. I tried super gluing it, and you can see remnants of the super glue on here, and that didn't quite work. So then I tried putting the tape on it, and the tape was not going to be, that was going to be like the practical fix, and then over top of it I was going to put some brown tape that was the same color as the leather as a cosmetic fix. And when the tape arrived, I ordered it on Amazon, and when it got here, it was the right color, but it was far smaller than I thought. I thought I was getting a roll of masking tape, and it ended up being very thin and very small for scrapbooking, and not what I was looking for. I would show you, but I ended up returning it. So this is sort of my third attempt, and what I did was I stopped. I had an idea while I was on my way to return the tape. I stopped at Hobby Lobby, and I got a strip of leather, and conveniently it's the perfect length, just a little bit longer, so there's room to work with here. And I also got some leather cement here, so I wanted to sort of showcase this project. So what I want to do is, obviously I want to take the strip of leather and glue it along here and have it fold down along this edge, so that way it will be both a cosmetic fix, but also it will improve the durability of this box. That way my sister can use it for a lot longer. Okay, so what I've done is I've measured how much room I have on the top of the box and the back side of the box. So on here I have about a ½ inch of depth. That'll put me about halfway between the top of this decorative section and the edge of the box. And then on this side of the box, there's a little logo down here. So I measure on there, and I've got about an inch to work with without getting too close to that logo, because I'd like to keep that intact if possible. And that'll give us a little more to work with in terms of how much leather is coming into contact here, I guess. So yeah, I also marked out on the back side of my leather where I want to make a cut, and by the looks of things I probably have about 5 or 6 cuts that I can make, 5 or 6 attempts I can make with this strip of leather, if for whatever reason this one doesn't work. But I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that I'll get it on the first try, so we'll see. And about as I expected, it's a little bit longer than the box on either end, but I think it's gonna work really well. I'll cut it down on the ends, and you can see here in terms of the width of it, you know, if I get it just right. Yeah, so it has about as much space as we wanted on the bottom and on the top. Now, I've never used leather cement before, so I think I'm gonna cut this to size and then use the scrap from either end just to do a little sample test, I guess, to try and make sure I kind of understand the consistency of the glue or the cement, and make sure I don't mess it up in the final thing, because you know it'll cover up this super glue here, but I want this to be the only really failure on the box. I don't want to have something go awry when I try to put this strip of leather on there. Alright, so I've cut my little leather down to size. Here's the scrap, and I'm also going to cut the scrap really quick. And I'm going to focus on this so I don't injure myself. Okay. And now to check out this leather cement. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this paper towel down actually, just so I don't spill it on my cutting board, because I use this to cook dinner too. But I'm going to try and glue, because I'm going to be gluing the soft end to the leathery end here on the box. So I'm going to do the same thing here as my little experiment. We'll see. Let's see how the glue runs first. Okay, so it's pretty runny. It's about the same consistency as Elmer's glue, or maybe a little bit thicker. So let's see. And I'm wondering how I want to do this. I think I want to go well, let's just test it out and see. It looks like I can use the glue. I can definitely use it on the soft side. Let's see it on the leather side. Yeah, I can definitely use the tip of the glue bottle to help spread it out, and then I can avoid getting it on my fingers too. Alright, and then for the moment of truth, we're going to put it on like so. Let me double check. Yes. And the bottle said to apply pressure until it's dry. I'm just going to wipe it up here where the glue has seeped out. Now what I plan on doing, I bought as you saw, I have a yardstick, a wooden yardstick. I got it from Lowe's, and I'm going to cut it in half. It was only $1, so I figured it would work. I'm going to try cutting it in half and use it to help clamp. I also got this clamp from Lowe's. I'm going to use it to help clamp the box, or the strip to the box as it dries. So I'm going to use the clamp right now just to apply pressure to this leather. And we will see how well it does. Okay, so it has occurred to me that I don't really need to wait for this setup to dry, because this was just to test the consistency of the glue. I was curious to see if it would be any stronger putting the glue directly onto the box and then putting the strip down, or if it would be better to put the glue on the strip. I'm thinking I probably want to put the glue on the strip, because it'll be easier to sort of contain any messes that way before it even gets onto the box. So now I just want to sort of see if the strip is as clean as I want it to be. I'm just going to do a double check on that, and then I think I'm going to start with the gluing process. Alright, so I have here my now split into ruler or yardstick. I guess it's a half yardstick now. A ruler and a half. Let me move this out of the way. And so what I'm going to do once I apply the fabric, because I only have one clamp, I don't want it to press down hard on the box, because like I said, it's just made of cardboard underneath all this. It's not wood or anything. At least if it is, it's very thin and fragile. So I want the rulers here. I'm going to have one on the bottom. I'm basically going to make a sandwich out of it. And then one on the top. Well, I'll have the strip. I guess it's sort of my dry fit moment, if you will. The strip there, and then my other ruler on top. And then I'll have the clamp in the middle, and that way it'll evenly distribute the pressure across the entire strip, and also keep it from damaging the box, or hopefully. And I'm also going to take that opportunity, if any glue seeps through, to wipe it up with my paper towel. And we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, so I have the box sort of resting here right now with the edges clamped. And the other reason I wanted to clamp it was because these vertical sections of the box will provide more structural support against the clamp pressure, as well as this vertical side, than just the flat sides as well, since they're much thinner. So it'll distribute the weight and pressure better. And yeah, I have it clamping now. I'm gonna let it sit for about an hour. There's nothing on the bottle that says how long this takes to dry. Definitely not how long it takes to cure or anything like that. But I figure if I leave it for an hour, maybe 2 hours, just to be safe, I can come back to it in a little bit, or maybe tomorrow, because I have work in the morning, and then we will get it finished. So I want this side to be finished before I wrap it around and do that side. However, what I'm thinking, because of the way this hinge mechanism works, I'm debating, actually no, I think I am going to want to wrap it around. I just want to make sure I don't glue it down too tightly. I want enough room so that way when it opens, this leather here in the middle will have room to sort of bow outward, so that way there's no unnecessary tension on the glue hold, if that makes any sense. And I'll try and demonstrate that later if I remember to. So yeah, we'll come back when this is dry and get this thing finished up and hopefully looking nice. Alright, so I've waited a little over an hour, and I decided in that time to watch a video on how to properly use leather glue. And let's just say what I learned is that, and I'll show you what I should have done on this side, is taken a sharp edge and scored this side of the leather to give the glue more surface area to hold. Of course, I knew that. Like, I know that you're supposed to do that when gluing things, so I don't know why I didn't think to do that. So I'm gonna see. The video I watched also said you should wait for the glue to be tacky, which I didn't. And this definitely is not a strong bond. However, I can tell that that glue is as set as it's going to be. So I'm going to peel this up and redo the gluing process. Of leather. The other piece, the original piece, is right here, and you can see that the glue layer really settled in there, and it's very smooth. I tried scoring it with a screwdriver, but it just did not want to come out, which is completely fine. So I figured, well, I have a whole lot of extra leather to work with. I'll cut a new piece out of that, and you saw my first couple attempts, you know, the edges were not straight to begin with. And my sort of, yeah, so they weren't completely straight to begin with, and it made the other edges hard to cut. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can use the ruler as a straight edge to get a perfectly straight cut. I also realized my ruler is in 2 halves now. So you saw me, I'll show you exactly what I did. But as you may have seen, I lined one edge up with one ruler. Oops. And another edge up with this ruler. I know this is kind of unorthodox, but I also realized the yardstick, half yardstick, is about 1.5 inches thick, which is how thick I wanted to cut the leather strip. So it worked out, and I just used this as a straight edge and a guide, and it worked out. So, I know, I feel like when you're making things like this, it worked out is probably like a fool's phrase. Something that no one should ever have to say, but a very lucky thing. Anyhow, now I have a new strip of leather, and I'm not super concerned about it being perfectly square because it's such a long and thin rectangle, and the edges, I'm going to have an edge cut off anyway. I'd rather have it look uniform and completely straight lengthwise of the box, because the other edge, it's also going to be sort of folded over, and if it's a little off, I don't really care about that because it's not going to be super noticeable anyway. It's, yeah. Alright, so now try number 2 is drying. I'm almost glad that the first try failed in the way it did, because it wasn't like I ruined the box completely. In fact, the box looked untouched when I peeled that first leather strip off. So I'm glad that I was able to do that and score the side of it. In the video I watched said it only needs to really sit for around 20 minutes once you've started not the curing process, but just to let it set. So I may come back in 30 more minutes or so to finish up the other side. And you can see I already scored it here along this edge. I may be able to go a little further along there with the scoring. I'll think about that when I get to that point. But then I'm just going to repeat this process of gluing both the sides, getting glue on both sides, and letting it gum up a little bit, and then clamping it on the back side and the front side, which is down here. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how this turns out. And yeah. But it is all settled in now. I might give it, a quarter turn more of tightening just to be sure it won't fall off, because I plan on keeping this clamp on here for the rest of the night. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to take a look at it and see how it is. I don't really want to put the strength of this to its limits, but I definitely want to handle it as I would expect it to be handled in normal use. Just to make sure that it holds up. Otherwise, if for whatever reason the bond breaks, I may go through and do some more scoring. So we'll see. Alright, so about 24 hours have passed, and I've let this cure and set up, and you can see, it finished off really nicely. Actually, let me get the light at a better angle here. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this turned out, and I think for a first attempt at restoring a leather box and working with leather and leather cement, it turned out really well. My only real complaint aesthetically is that you can see here there's a little bit of leather, or a little bit of residue from some cement that got on there, but I'm going to try and clean that off if I can. Here you can see it better there in the light, but that's not a thing I'm too concerned about. I think overall it turned out really cleanly, and also functionally it works really well. Now, I'm not putting this to its limits. However, you can see the box is able to open, and it opens to about a 90-degree angle. And after that point, the leather is, it pushes back, so it's hard to open it any further. I definitely don't want to try to open it any further, and there should be no reason anyone would need to open it any further than that. So I think it turned out really nicely, and I'm really excited to give this to my sister to see what she thinks. I know she'll like it. Okay, I'm here at my stove now. My dad suggested that I take some coffee and brew it really strong, and then use that to dye the unfinished edges of the leather, and I thought it was a really great idea. So I have some coffee here, and it's still pretty hot, so I'm about to cool it down with a little ice bath sort of thing I made here. I just put some ice in a Tupperware container, ice water, and then I'm going to pour it into this container on top. I'm also going to lay a paper towel over top of it, so that way it will filter out the coffee grounds. Alright, let's see how well this makeshift contraption works. It looks like a lot of the coffee grounds are honestly collecting down there anyway, in the bottom of the pan, so maybe I didn't even need the paper towel. But we will see. I'm just going to set this on the cold burner over here. Alright, I might need 2 hands to do this. Give me just a moment. Alright, let's see what we can do with this. Seems to be working pretty well. It's still pretty hot in there. Alright, and it looks like we definitely have more than enough. This is still pretty hot, so I don't want to touch it too much. And yes, I also don't want to break the paper towel, which has just happened, but I'm glad it didn't spill in there. Alright. Alright, so I have here some Q-tips that I'm going to use to apply the coffee / dye to the box. So I think, yeah, I'm going to show you up. Alright, so I just got done staining the edges with the coffee, and I think it turned out really well. It definitely matches the color perfectly, or as good as it needs to. And it's, aside from a little bit of glue seeping out, it's hard to tell that there's, I mean, not that there's an edge there, but it's, you know, it's hard to tell that there was any difference in the color. So I'm going to let this dry and see how it turns out, and if I need to add some more coffee to it later to stain it even more or make it darker if need be, then I will. But in the meantime, I really like how this turned out. And with that, I just wanted to thank you for watching my video. And if you have any comments or advice, definitely leave them in the comments. But yeah, this has been a really fun project. So I'll see you guys in the next one. So I thought it would be a fun idea, since I have this incredibly strongly brewed and boiled down coffee, to try a sip just for fun. Let's see. It's stronger than any coffee anyone ever needs to drink in their entire life.